Hello, everyone, and welcome to the pre-show for the Monster Hunter 20th Anniversary Special Program. My name is Joe. I'm one of the community managers here at Capcom USA, and I'm joined by...
Hey everyone, I'm Jono. I'm the EMEA Community Manager at Monster Hunter.
Well, Jono, what are we doing today? Why are we in suits?
Well, that's a very good question, because normally for anyone that tunes into our community streams, we're normally just rocking a t-shirt or a hoodie. But today is a very, very special occasion because we are marking 20 years, 2 decades of Monster Hunter. I'm really excited.
Yeah, so am I. And today we're going to be going over the results of the Hunter's Choice Top Monster Poll. We're going to reveal who the number one monster that you voted for is. And honestly, I'm super excited to reveal the results to everybody. But before we get into that, why don't we talk about, the overall show and what we're doing today. So today is really just a chance to celebrate the 20th anniversary. We won't have any crazy news or any reveals. You won't see any new gameplay or trailers for Monster Hunter Wilds, but we do have some cool stuff and cool insights from the dev team and from different community members of the Monster Hunter community.
Exactly. This is really special. And, even looking at like our own journeys into the series all those years ago as players before we joined Capcom, the community were at the heart of Monster Hunter, whether it was the creator community or the passionate community themselves, building wikis, sharing tips on old forums, and all of that before like the advent of YouTube and the internet as a whole and social media. So it's really special to be able to celebrate that with everyone.
Yeah, and before we get into it, why don't we talk about the 20 through 11, the monsters that we've revealed so far in the Hunter's Choice Top Monster results. So I know you've got a lot of favorites in there. Jono, do you want to kick it off with, what is your personal favorite monster?
Yeah, so coming in at 17, so much respect to the community here for your fantastic taste. We have my favorite. They're big, they're blue, they're Brachydios. Obviously introduced in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate here in the West. If you like slime weapons, or as they're now known as Blast, this is the monster for you. I just love how it looks. I love that it's big and blue. I love the explosions. I love the music. Everything about Brachy just screams cool to me. And I loved as well, obviously playing Monster Hunter Stories and Stories 2, that you could have Brachy as a monster and fight alongside them rather than against them all the time.
Yeah, I love the big old arms that it walks with and kind of just slams around and you kind of get caught in that blast radius, which is not a good feeling, but it is, it is a really, really cool monster. And obviously it has a super awesome theme song, which is really intense and I love to listen to every now and then. So yeah.
Oh yeah, especially the Raging Brachy version. And that's the thing, when I was voting, I was like, do I go for Raging Brachy or the original Brachy? But it's kind of like chicken and egg situation. There wouldn't be Raging Brachy without base Brachydios. So that's where my vote went as well.
That's a great point. Well, for me, within this top 20 through 11, I'm a huge fan of Namio, who came in at number 18. It was a new monster that came into the series with Iceborne. So a fairly new monster. I'm sure a lot of people who play the game are pretty familiar with it, but it's got this really almost like it's like a a manta ray or just this marine kind of theme to it, right? The way it has all the sound effects and the different I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe, right? It's definitely got a unique feel that I think a lot of monsters don't really have in the series.
Yeah, you can definitely feel like it's come from the abyss, and even the sounds it makes are so aquatic, and obviously a dual element monster as well, combining water with thunder, makes it very, very dangerous when you're fighting it as well. And the armor as well looks so sleek and organic. Yeah, it was really unlike kind of anything else you'd fought up to that point.
Yeah, if you were to imagine a deep sea creature that has lived for thousands of years, that would be one. It's learn to live in the darkness or something like that. Yeah, a super, super cool monster.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so coming in at number 16 is another favorite of mine, Safi Jiva. This was a super cool raid monster, siege monster actually, that you could fight in Iceborne. And I think what I loved the most about this was the community building of just getting everybody together and just trying to pick apart the different mechanics. I think we weren't here at Capcom when it was first revealed, so we got to experience it as fans, but just the way it was revealed to the world and how everyone kind of just had to to band together and just figure out how to take it out was quite the experience.
Yeah, and also like seeing what a fully formed adult version of Xeno'jiiva was like was really cool to kind of see how the monster had kind of continued and kind of how they linked it together. And also everyone plays a very specific role if they want to within the fight. Like obviously I'm a sword and shield main, so I'd be trying to go for the tail or like go for like trips on the legs and things. But then obviously insect glaive, gunners, bow users, we always go for those wing breaks. And if they weren't in the party, I found it so hard to get wing breaks. So if an insect glaive came in or a ranged hunter, I was like, yes, more part breaks. Yeah, it's such an epic multi-stage fight. And I remember how many times I missed trying to knock terrain onto it as well with my slinger.
Yeah, that was something you kind of had to like discover for yourself, right? Of just like you continue to do the fight, you see what other people are doing, and that's one of those things that they kind of hint to you, but it's not necessarily just like, hey, you should do this exact thing to knock over like the stalactites and the different terrain and all that. So definitely such a cool fight to discover and to learn.
Exactly, and then obviously Safi's ultimate move is really quite a sight to behold and experience. They better find somewhere to hide.
Yeah, sometimes I always found myself just slightly getting caught outside of like the protection zone of that like rock that's blocking for you, which I think is a lesson that you learn right away of like you make sure you're totally in a safe zone. Don't get caught outside of it.
Exactly, and talking of obviously these big attacks and kind of monsters coming in and really changing the game. The next monster, which is one of my favorites, and it came in at number 13, which is a fantastic achievement for a monster which I think is actually the most recently added new monster to the whole franchise. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that is Primordial Malzeno, obviously kind of like crowning off Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak's story, kind of putting it to bed as the sun sets in a really, really satisfying way. Primordial Malzeno obviously is kind of like the uncorrupted pre-Curio version of the flagship Malzeno. So it's such a cool evolution and version of the monster, and I love how it fights. It looks like a knight in shining armor. It fights almost like a lance or sword and shield user with really interesting combos and jabs. And no spoilers, but I really love how the story version of the hunt goes and how the climax unfolds and what happens. It was a really surprising twist and a great way to kind of wrap up the themes of Sunbreak.
Yeah, you said it all, Jono. I mean, you didn't think that Malzeno could get more, I guess, regal and menacing.
Yeah.
And somehow they topped it, right, with Primordial Malzeno. And it's such a great fight. And yeah, obviously, we don't want to give any spoilers for anybody who hasn't played it yet, but the way the fight plays out with the culmination of the Sunbreak story and the way it ends is just awesome. So yeah, definitely a great way to cap off the adventure with Sunbreak.
And obviously the armor and weapons look really, really cool as well. I'm a sucker for my fashion. You know that.
Well, with that said, we don't have the time to cover all of the 20 through 11. You will see them recapped again at the start of the show, but yeah, a lot of great monsters that were included in that list, and we can't wait to reveal those final results. So
exactly. 229 monsters. We got 10-1 to go. It's any monsters game, well, except the ones we've mentioned already. But it's any other monsters game right now. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what the community voted for. And I guess we'll be discovering that together.
Oh, yeah. Jono, it's been 20 years of Monster Hunter. Obviously, we've all started the series in different time frames and had different experiences with it. Any thoughts just like reflecting on your journey with the series so far?
Yeah, I mean, my first ever Monster Hunter title was 3 Ultimate, and quite soon after I then jumped onto 4U as well. And it's been awesome. The first ever weapon I used ever in Monster Hunter was actually Switch Axe. However, I was a really big noob. I couldn't quite get used to being slow having this big weapon, so I quite quickly swapped to sword and shield. And ever since then, it's been my main squeeze, my main weapon. I love the versatility, I love the variety, and I love how good it is with element and status kind of sets. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I also started around the same time, but I would say, initially I kind of bounced off the game a little bit because, I don't think, I was wired that way necessarily just yet to really like wrap my head around all the mechanics and the way the game worked. But I think it's a testament to the community who have created so many different guides and videos and just different ways to get into this series that have really that helped educate me and helped bring me up to the kind of the skill level that I felt like I was experiencing, like the experience of a lot of other community members where I discovered this thing, I learned about it, and I got better at it, and then I became an advocate for it. So I think that's really the journey of Monster Hunter, especially I think in our regions in North America and Europe, to be able to like have that journey of like we got to experience the discovery of something that we really love, and now we get to share it with everybody. So it's been really, really exciting in that way.
Exactly. And we touched on the creators. I really got into Monster Hunter thanks to the creators kind of taking the time to share their passion for this series and want it to grow and share it rather than gatekeeping. And that, once again, that's why the community and the creators are the heart of Monster Hunter. And it's great to kind of see that continue as more and more people came to Monster Hunter over the years. Obviously, you go through like generations, and then obviously you then had Monster Hunter World Show, and what kind of impact did that have?
Yeah, absolutely. Like just the taking the franchise completely global and having the simultaneous worldwide release with World, and we've just really been continuing the momentum since then. And obviously I think the future is very bright with Monster Hunter Wilds, and we've got Monster Hunter Stories that's also coming out this summer. So yeah, it's just a really good time to be a Monster Hunter fan right now.
It is, and like with our recent like return to World Community Celebration, seeing not only veteran hunters and content creators come back, but loads of new players come in to play Monster Hunter World, whether they were excited from the Monster Hunter Wilds reveal, or they were like, hey, a lot of people are talking about this game, I'm going to check it out, like jump in. It's been awesome. And obviously, the most recent release, Monster Hunter Rise and Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, I love the combat in that. It's so fluid, and your weapons get so many moves, and you can customize how your individual weapon behaves. So if you had, say, there was like 2 longsword users in a hunt, they could have totally different playstyles and moves. And I just found that really, really fun, and a really cool twist on the combat that I'd got used to from World and Iceborne. So yeah, it's just such a great time. No matter what kind of hunter you are, you can enjoy all the different Monster Hunter games, you can have your favorite, and I think that's such a good thing to be able to celebrate and talk about.
Yeah, different types of Monster Hunter games, different genres, which is awesome. So it's, yeah, like we said, it's just a really great time to be part of the franchise. And I think with that, we're going to wrap up our pre-show. We're going to have a pretty fun program ahead of us. So, after the results of the Hunter's Choice Top Monster, we hope you stick around and check out everything we've got. But yeah, with that said, we want to say thank you so much to the Monster Hunter community. Your support means the world to us. Jono, any parting words before we go?
Yeah, it's been an incredible 20 years, no matter when you joined us as a Monster Hunter fan. Thank you so much. It's awesome to have you with us. And here's to the next 20 years and 2025 when things are going to be getting wild.
All right, well, before we head into the main show, we'll want to sign off with our usual Monster Hunter chant. Happy hunting!
Wow, congratulations to Zenoga, Nergigante, and Lagiacrus, the top 3 monsters as voted for by you, the community, from 20 years of Monster Hunter. That's pretty awesome, hey Joe.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for casting your votes. But it sounds like we're not quite done yet, right?
You are right, because there is another Hunter's Choice on the horizon. Coming soon, you, the community, will be tasked to vote for the best monster theme music.
Yeah, there's been so many incredible songs throughout the Monster Hunter series, so many iconic themes, so we can't wait to see what you vote on.
まずその初代モンスターハンターが生まれた経緯。
そのネットワーク
そうそうそう
ゲームを立ち上げるぞみたいな。
コンシューマー家庭用ゲーム機の、オンラインゲームをちょっと作っていきましょうみたいなね、方向になって、で3タイトル立ち上がって、その時に同時に立ち上がったのはアウトモデルスタっていうレースゲームと、バイオハザードアウトブレイクっていう、バイオハザードを使ったネットワークゲームで、もう一つがモンスターハンターということですね。モンスターハンターが、カプコンで強いアクションゲームで、オンラインゲームで、藤岡が初代のディレクターでして、
そうですね。
で僕はその当時はネットワークの方のプランナーで関わってたんですけど、まずモンスターハンターとかモンスター、実は一番初めにできたモンスターってレイヤーなんですよね。
リオレア
ですよね。
そう。一番最初に上がった後がレイヤーだった、緑色のああいうこう毒性を持った飛竜みたいなものをまずデザイナーがデザインしたっていう、それ以上でもそれ以下でもないかなと思ってて、
だから初代のロゴの上にいるのはレイヤーなんですよね。
そうだから
実はレウスと思ってる方も多いかもわかんないですけど、
そうなのね。だからその前前身もあったよね。モンスターハンターになる前、
ありますね。
ファンタジーを作ろうって言ってた頃は本当に普通のドラゴンデザインしてたし、もっと本当に王道なスタイル、魔法使いもまだいたし、王道なすごいスタイルだったんだけど、なんか自分たちのオリジナルってなんだろうねっていう時に、もうそういう魔法使いとかじゃなくて、で王道なドラゴンじゃなくて、もっと自分たちなりのこのデザインされた生き物をちゃんと作ろうってなって、リオレイヤーデザインしてくれたんかな。
アイルもデザイン
入るね。
全然違いますもんね。
全然もともとデザイナーがやってたのはチャチャブみたいな、
ちょっとゴブリンみたいなやつですよね。
そうすごいこうバキバキのもうゴブリンでさ怖いわ言うて
あれ本当ちょっとしたことですけど本当よかったです。
ちょっとしたことだけで本当よかった。
あのまま言ってたら
やったらもうバキバキのこんな怖みたいなやつ
ね、
いやマスコットやったから
マスコットじゃない
マスコット誰が
今はもう全14部機種になってますけど、当時はもう6種。
もともとが、でっかいモンスター倒すんだから、ハンタープレイヤーの武器もでっかい方がいいでしょみたいなところから、体験とヘビーボウガン、癖強の2つから始めてたから。
そうですよね。初め体験したもんね、ずっとね。
でその後増えていったのもハンマーとかランス、重いのばっかりでこれいるやろって言ってさすがにいるやろ、
ザクザクいけないやつばっかりでね
ってなって、片手剣とライドボウが増やして、それでなんかキャラクター性が一通り揃ったんよね。だからもうまずは最初の6武器をちゃんと作り上げようっつって、まずはそこからかな。一個一個の武器がもう全然仕様が違うから癖が強すぎる。
特に当時はボタンじゃなかったですからね。スティックでしたからね。
スティックで攻撃してたからな。東京ゲームショウとかでこうアテンドするじゃん。プレイヤーの遊び来る子触ろうとするやん。大体みんな普通はこうボタンに手やるやん、すぐにピッて。
そうだね。
ボタンじゃないんですよこれレバーなんですっつって、
こっちなんですってね
まずそこから持ち替えさせるみたいなね。
今のモンスターハンターのプレイヤーの方もそうなんですけど、やっぱあの時からやっぱりその助け合いであったりとか、その情報共有であったりとか、すごくなんでしょう、あの時でそういう言葉あんまりないかもしれないですけど、結構コミュニティみたいながねできてたんですよね。やっぱり
なんか自然発生してたしね、その助け合うとかね。 昔はもう入ったらこう大チャットっていう
大チャット
みんながチャットの中にダーッと100人ぐらいがなだれ込んできてでラオシャンロン貼ってますみたいなログがブワーってずっと流れててでそれに群がっていくその人たちがいる。
いざ入ったらラオ何したらいいのみたいな、
全然分かんない教えてくださいみたいな尻尾に引かれてやられてしまいますみたいな何してたらいいんでしょうかって。
そうですね。
そうそう、
まあ、ドスからやっぱり古流
そう
がやっぱり
そうね
スポット当たってきてるので、
まあ、それもなんか今のひな形になったかなというか、その大型モンスターとしてのモンスターたちっていうのが基本的にはこの世界に屋台骨なんだけど、そのワンクラス上のやつらがいるっていう、そのなんていうかなファンタジックな部分っていうのを古流っていうやつらが持ってて、だからそいつらが出てきたらもう受け入れるしかないみたいな存在だから、そういう存在をなんか作れたっていうのは、なんかモンスターハンターのゲームのデザインしていくとか世界観作っていく上ではなんかすごいあの当時ああいう仕掛けをしといてよかったかなっていう。
そうですね、本当になんか特別な存在でしたからね。ドスの時も特に、
そうそうでラージャンとかもそうだしね、そのどこでも出てくるすんげえ荒らしてくるやつみたいな、急に出てくるやべえやつっていうのはなんか作りたいなって。
ラージャンは今でも大活躍ですからね。
大活躍
ですからね。
で大闘技大会っていう
ありましたね。
あったやろ。捕獲したモンスターを自分のパートナーとして出てでこの
戦えるんですよね。
対戦できるっていう大闘技大会っていうモードがあったんやけど、ラージャンもゲットできるのね。でラージャンがゲットできたらもうほぼ一択でラージャンが強いっていう世界だったんやけどモンスターもこう餌を与えていくと強化できるんだけど、そのラージャンの強化する素材がキリンの角やって。で、
そう設定的にもね。
そう。で今となってもそれが設定としてはこう、キリンの角を食うっていう設定がラージャンに残ったっていうのは、そっからっていうのがある。そこって思うけど、なんかそっからもうキリンの角を食う。
もう最近ではデモで出てきますからね。まず携帯基盤、これを作ることになったきっかけって多分みんな知りたいと思うんけど、
僕との方もタイトルがちょうど「バイオハザードアウトブレイク」ってタイトルが終わった後にちょうどその当時のプロデューサーの方から携帯機のゲーム PSP が出ていて、でそちらの方で開発をしないかって話をいただいたのが最初のきっかけになりますね。
ドスとの連動っていうのがあって、実はヤンガルルがあって、そこで生まれたモンスターでね。ヤンガルルが行き来するモンスターみたいな扱いで、生まれたのがガルルガなんですよね、本当はね。
そうですね。何かしらこうドスと、ポータブルの方でこう世界観を共有しながらちょっと何かゲームみたいなのを作れないかっていうので、そういったちょっと新規のモンスターを作って、ちょっと確かに試みたのは大きなちょっと挑戦でしたね。あれも。
でここで今となっては大人気のモンスターのティガレックスが生まれると。
最初、メインモンスターを新規で何かしら作ろうって話になったんですけど、モンスターハンター無印とかに作った設定資料とかめちゃくちゃあるんですけど、ワイバーンレックスって言われるこう飛竜の原種みたいな、昔にいた生き物みたいな、そういうふうな設定のやつがあって、そこらとかは使えそうかっていうので、恐竜とかもやっぱ T-Rex とかそういったのもやっぱり人気の生き物だったりとかする、そこらと飛竜、モンスターをを作ることでインパクトの強いものができないかなっていうので、考えたものにはなりますね。
あれだっけ、僕がガウシカにボコられたんて、
そうです。
あれセカンドの時やっけ。
セカンドの時ですね。
なんか一ノ瀬に呼ばれてテストプレイやってほしいって言われて、超強いガウシカでねテストプレイやっててボッコボコにされて、どっかまでも追いかけてくるガウシカで、最後もう丘の上から俺弓打ってたもん。
それ見てガウシカ調整しようかな。い
や分かったんちゃうね。
じゃあちょっとまずいかな。
どう考えても分かんて。
おかげさまで。
セカンド G が今までのモンスターハンター タイトルの中で一番開発期間がやっぱ短くて、
そうですね。
で初めにコンセプト企画書って作るやん、
はいはいはい
あれのバージョン 1.0 っていうのがあって、
はいはい。
でそれが、2007年の4月の25日やった。実際作り出したのそのもうちょっと後やんだよね。
はいそうですね。
っていうと1年やっぱかかってなくて、
いやそれかかってなかったですね。
実質あれ10ヶ月かかってないかな
それぐらいではやってるような気がしますね。
ね。
ナルガとかもなんかもう即なんか用意してるような気は。
そうやね、もう検証なんかできへんかったもんね。
ですね。なんかもう早い木が作ろうって早い木が
ちょっとね、変化球的な
みたいなやつ
モンスターにしようっていう、
ダークヒーローじゃないですけど、ちょっと線外したような形のかっこいいやつをちょっとしてみようかっていうので、なんかあの形にはなりましたね。
オープニングのナルガがねまだ本モデルじゃなかったからシルエットだけ見せてごまかせるようにしてね最後目だけ引かせシュッてやってね、
いい感じに盛り上げるために
新システムというかオトモアイルを入れるというね、
アイルーとかをちょっと動かしてみよう、できるかなみたいな話をした時になんかちょっと動かせましたみたいな感じで、これはいけるって話で案外いけるかもっていうので
次にちゃんがディレクターとしてかかってたのが P サードと今回20周年で企画でやった、モンスターの人気投票1位になったジンオーガ
ジンオーガさんすごいですね。
生まれてるというところやね。
ジンオーガの開発もやっぱり時間めちゃくちゃ
かかったねこれね。
正直今まで僕がやった中で一番苦労したんじゃないかなと思いますね。
何ヶ月かかった？
もうこれもう立ち上げから最後までの2年丸々使ってると思うぐらいどういったアクションをちょっと遊びのサイクルに持ってくるかとかなかなか決まんなくてで叩きつけるみたいなところからちょっと遊びを軸にいろいろと来航中のサイクルですかっていうのをちょっと作っていったって感じはありますね。デザインとかもだいぶ最初の段階二足歩行で立ってましたからね当初はそういう風なネタとかもありましたね。
初めて、結構和のテーマが入ってくるという、そこでだから温泉とかもやっぱりここで初めて登場。
モンスターハンターとは結構衣食住っていうか生活をベースにしたテーマのゲーム、何か生活感を感じれるもの何かないかなって話をちょっとその当時とかの企画のメインの方と一緒にちょっと話してて、洗濯かお風呂ぐらいかみたいな話になってお風呂はなんか気持ちよさそうやし、なんか温泉とか、まあ日本人の感覚でいうとやっぱりこう気持ちよくてリフレッシュする感があるんで、なんかそこら辺のとこちょっとモチーフにやりたいねって話で、もう風呂しかないっていうか温泉しかないっていうのでちょっとこう食事に変わるシステムっていうのでちょっと入れた感じではありますね。
水中はちょっとこれ無印の時にさ、なんかその一番最初の盛岡のステージでキャンプから出るとアプトノスがいて、で川を横断してアプトノスがこう逃げて、
あいつらだけ逃げていける。
でうわもうここ入らせろみたいなこの欲求が強かったよね。で欲求は大事にしたいよねっていうのと、まあ、チャレンジは1個何かやりたいっていうのがあって、まあ、モンスターとこう立体的な関わりができるんだったらすごいいいんじゃないかなっていうので、水中っていうのとメインのモンスターを据えようっていうので、まあそこはワンセットでも面白くならない限り水中はフィックスしちゃダメぐらいで勢いでやってたから、
そう外せるぐらいの覚悟でね、
もうくらいの覚悟でもう最悪埋め立てるっていうラギアクルスチームみたいなのができたの。もう絶対おもろするっつってまあ割り切りどころもこっちは提案してたけど、いや絶対もうこのシームレスにやれるのが絶対楽しいし、それを実現したいですっつってすごい意気込みで作ってくれて、360度いろんな角度で関われるけどアクセスしやすい感じと、なんかそのやり取りがモンハンライクっていうゲームデザインになったから、すごいおもれえなこれってなって、でもう実装しよう、水中ちゃんとやろうっていう
でですね、まあトライ作って、でまあ正直僕らその後 MH4 モンスターハンター4作ってたんですけど、
作ってた。
ちょっとモンスターハンター4がちょっと思ったより時間かかると、じゃあ間にちょっとなんか欲しいよねっていう話になって、じゃあトライを移植してくるのはどうだって初め話だったんですよね。でも移植だけやったらあれやから、せめて水中やからガノトトス足そうみたいな、こうやってたらなんか G 級も入ってるしモンスターめっちゃ入ってるしこれやばないって言って
タンジアっていう
新しい拠点までできて
そら移植じゃないでしょみたいな。
移植じゃないやろもう発表の1ヶ月ぐらい前ですかね、これ G つけようって話になって
トライ G にしたいって言い出して、
そっから変わったんですよね、名前が。
地形周りでちょっとチャレンジしてたっていう、ジャンプ攻撃作りたいとか、
高低差ね。
そうトライのそのちょっと水中の高低差での遊びみたいなのがやっぱどうしてもこういいなっていうのもあって、それをもう少しこう陸に持ってこれないかっていうのもあって、当時のゲームアクションゲームのスタンダードがもう高低差ありきのレベルデザインにもなってきてたから、まあモンスターハンターっていうゲームが今後も戦っていくためには高低差のあるフィールドに自分たちもちゃんとやらなやばいのっていうので始めたっていうのもあったから、
やっぱりでもここで高低差入ったのはすごくやっぱ大きかったですね。
そうね、
できるっていうのがね、それが
上からのアプローチとか下から上を取られた時どうしようとか、いろんな思考がこのフィールドの地形に対しても考えれるようになったっていうのは、それはやっぱモンスターが対応する、プレイヤーが対応するっていうのが大きいから、まあ、それができるようになったのは良かったかな。
方でいうとまあゲームスタートした後にこう、ね、ドラマチックなところから始まるみたいなね。
4はとにかくそのいろんな要素を分かりやすくしようっていうか、キャッチーにしようっていうので、もうちょっと開放感のあるテーマにしようって冒険っていうのをすごい分かりやすいキーワードを1個入れようって言って、冒険って拠点を転々としながら、まあお話が進んでいくっていうのは1個やりたいねって言って、だからそこにキャラクターもすごく必要だし、描かないといけないその物語もやっぱりしっかり書かないとこう展開作れないから、だからそこは一番4で取り組んだのかな、
ここで、現状の全14武器種が揃うんですね。
全部のね
総中根とチャージアックスが追加される
と、そういうジャンプに結構フォーカスしたゲーム性だったから、そういうのをユニークなその性能として持っている武器があってもいいんちゃうかっていうのと、これも無印の頃のイラストなんやけど、なんかこう鷹匠みたいな、鷹をこう操る職業みたいなイラストがあって、なんかおもろいことできんかっつって、まあ、虫を操るその根、総中根、チャージアックスの時はもう分かりやすい武器作ろうぜみたいな、スラッシュアックスとこのちょっと対になるような、もう分かりやすい武器作ろうっつって、合体変形がまあ結構コンセプトにある武器で。
ゴアマガラが今回のモンスター総人気投票でやっぱり北米だったら
なんか
やっぱりね人気あるんですね。特にゴアマガラってテーマ的にダークヒーローみたいなのがあったじゃないですか。それで結構海外で受けてて嬉しいですよね。
そうね、海外だと 4G かな、とかまあ展開した時も海外のコミュニティを感じるようになってたから、
トライから取り組み始めて、で 4G とかでも結構やってですよね。
だからいろんなとこでちっちゃなこのイベントやってるのもちょっと顔を出させてもらったりとか、まあ大きなコミュニティとちょっとコミュニケーションを取る場を作ってくれたりとか、まあその頃からすごい感じてたけどな。
モンスターハンタークロスだよね。
はい、そうですね。
はい、これ実は全然違うタイトルだったよね。最終的にはちょっといっちゃんと僕でやるって話になって、
それまで作ってた別のゲームとかあったんですけど、まあそれやめてで、今回何しようって話に、亮さんと合流して、で亮さんから、もう提示してもらったのがお祭り感ね。で一言お祭り感以上うちらスタッフ全員「おお!」って なってそこから神業やスタイルとか4大モンスターがお祭り感から生まれた。よくできましたね。
みんなよくそんなねキーワードでここまでね広げてくれたわっていうぐらいやけど、言わなあかんところで言うとやっぱり仮技とスタイル、
はい、3DS できる、タイトルとそれも何タイトルか出てきてるんでやっぱりちょっと、ゲーム的にも何かちょっとアクションの部分で新しさとかがないと、やっぱマンネリがちょっとし始めるかなっていうので、既存の武器のところに何かちょっとシステムを加えることで遊びを広げられないかなっていうので、ちょっとこういったシステムをちょっと入れることになりましたね。お祭り感とこのキーワードのところから懐かしかった頃に戻れるみたいな、そういったものにしたかったので、過去にあった村とか、そういったものを、持ってきたりとか、4つの拠点か、でその4つの拠点にそれぞれ4つのモンスターを置いてって感じで、キーワードを4っていうものにしたんで、スタイルの数も4だったりとか、そんな感じでちょっとまとめていったって感じにはなりますね。
4大メインモンスターの中で、個人的にはその後結構厄介なのがガムート。
なんですか。
でかい。
でかいのが厄介なんですか。
いや結構ほらあっこに出そうとかってなった時に、
そういうこと
あいつどでかいから。
でも当時はでかいマンモスが出したかったんですよね、どうしても。でも全然ガムートなんかいい感じにすれば出せるんじゃないですか。
そうやね、ガムート子供とかおらへんのかな。ちょっとちっちゃめのやつおれへんか。この時に出たのが、お祭り感もあってニャンタ
オトマイルのとこ、ちょっと何かしら手を加えた方がいいかなっていうので、実際もうプレイヤーとして遊べてみても、お祭りっていうことなんであれば、いいのかなっていうので、最初やっぱゲーム的にどう調整しようかなってところもあったんですけど、もうかなり遊んでもらって、今でもやっぱりユーザーの人とかね、ニャンターとかないんですかっていうような意見とか、やっぱそういうの目にしますもんね。
それね、クロスが発売されて、その後にタイトル名としてはダブルクロスと
市原君がディレクター
やってくれてて、エグゾプライマルのディレクターやってる平岡がメインプランナーでやってくれてて、当然の流れとして仮技とスタイルを足すんだろうなっていうのはあったんやけど、スタイルを2つ持ってきたよね。
そうですね。すごい調整量が G になって作るものと掛け合わせがすごかったですね。
前の仮技とかにも全部掛け合わせ見ていかなあかんから、結構2つ足すってえらいことなんですやけど、やりますって言って最後まで走り切ってくれて、で、ここでモンスター的生まれたのが、これも結構大人気、バルハルク。バルハルクって、ちょっと一風変わったモンスターに見えたと思うんだよね。あれってどんな経緯とか。
元デザインのところシャチベースとかなんかそんな感じじゃなかったかな。だからちょっと空飛んでるもんなんで、最終的に今の形になったっていうのは鳥とかそっち側の方か。
そしてここでなんと2つ名でモンスターがこのメインモンスター扱いとして入ってくるっていうね。ここで大間ディアブロスと。
めちゃくちゃ強かったですね。
強かったな。早かったな。
ですね。モードも複数切り替えて、後半に行くほどか、だんだん戦闘スタイル変わってて、こうゲーム自体も手に汗握るような。
そうやね。ディアブロスってね、初代から出てるんやけど、ここでね一番スポット当たったかもからね。
確かにそうかもしれないですね。特徴的な色にもねしてたんで、結構印象にはモンスターになったんじゃないかなと、2つの中でもとは思いますね。
ワールドのディレクターの徳田を呼んでますので、ワールドとかアイスボーンの話をちょっとしていきたいと思っておりますと。で、ここでやっぱり、グローバルをちょっとやっぱ意識しようというところも出てて、
でもきっかけで言ったら 4G のテストやもんな。
そうですね。
そうね。
4G を、海外の方にプレイしていただいて、意見をいただこう、フィードバックをもらおうっていうのを、海外の方の反応って結構ダイレクトにわみたいな、なかなかこう 答えるものがあって
なんで門前払いとは言わんけど、なんかそれぐらいの勢いで結構徳田がこう黒敵だもんだからかなり気合が入り直したというかね、
そうですね。
次のゲームの水準というか、そこでやらないといけないところを改めてこうぶつけられたっていうか、
これはありましたね。
今回やっぱりそのナンバリングをやめたというか、その
そうね、
タイトルとしてもちょっと自分たちのテーマをやっぱりタイトルにつけていこうって話。
あれ開発名やったもん
そうそうそうはい、コードネームがワールドだったんです。
なんか気に入ってもうてもうワールドでええわみたいな嘘やろってワールドスタンダードしようぜってワールドにしてたやつ。
環境利用、モンスターも含めていろいろ考えて遊んでもらおうみたいなところがあったと思うんだけど、ここ大変やったなみたいなのってある？
縄張り争いだもんな、そのモンスターを誘導してそのぶつけ合うっていうのが行為として面白い、面白くなりそうだまでは分かるけど、本当にそれをゲームとして遊び出した時にそれにこうどれぐらい価値を見出せるかみたいなんてなかなかこう伝わりづらいというか、
プレイヤーがね関与しないって思われがちっていうね。
最初実装した時に、結構チームにも効率重視のプレーをする子がいて、狩りの効率を回すのが好きみたいな人がいて、その子がこんなの面倒くさいし誰もやらないんじゃないですかみたいなことを言ってたんですよ。でその後にダメージ表記を実装したんですよ。
そうやね
プレイヤーが普通に攻撃すると10とか20とかしか
桁が違うかったね。
縄張りでバーンと外したら1000以上ドンと入った瞬間にその効率重視の子があれ使わないのおかしいっすよみたいなくるって変わってその時に縄張り争いもダメージ表記もいけるな。
ワールドのその数字の実装っていうのはモンハンにとってはすごい
そうですね、
革命だし、僕としてもすごいそれは感じてた。
今回モンスターの人気投票やって2位がネルギガンテで、ネルギガンテのこだわりって
まず古竜が集まる、生態系を含めたお話にしたいっていうのがあったんで、何がいいかなって考えてふと破壊と再生
言ってたね
それを隣にいた藤岡さんに「破壊と再生どうすか?」って言ったら。おもろいな再生能力あるからこそ自らが傷つくこともいとわず攻撃するみたいなそのアクション性も含めて体現できたら、張りのあるモンスターになるんじゃないかなみたいな。
だからアイスボーンの最後もネルギガンテに美味しいとこ持っていかしたかったよね。生きてたみたいなネルギガンテらしいこのなんか持っていき方がちょっとあれはなんかやりたかったよね。
ワールドでは結構タイトルアップデートでコラボとか結構多く入れたんですけど、逆に言うとアイスボーンは既存モンスター、シリーズモンスターの人気どころをちょっと入れていこうっていう。
単純に僕の一個の心残りというか手強いモンスターがちょっとコラボキャラばっかりだったんで、やっぱちゃんと自社というかモンスターハンターのキャラにしたかったよね。だからミラボレアスはもう最強にする。
ミラは揉めましたね最後の最後まで出せるかどうかっていう議論をずっとしてたね。
ステージも足すし、お話も作り出すし、ムフェトからアルバトリオンでミラまでちょっとこう伏線をちょっとずつ張りながらミラに持っていったからラインでこうつなげていこうみたいなね。
やっぱ締まりましたね。
そういう意味ではね
すごい締まりましたね。
今でもずっと遊び続けてくれてるし、
やっぱりそのワールドアイスボーンっていうのはちょっとああいうこの世界観の広がりであったりとか、その本当にモンスターハンターの世界って結構ねずっとこだわったところが一気にこう広がったというか感じがしますよね。ラージャンのキャプチャーの映像を出したんですか。昔はもう全部手付けだったじゃないですかモンスターの。
そうだね。でモンスターもそろそろやってみるか。キリンのこう角をバキって折るとこペットボトルバーンって折ってうわーってやっていくっていうね。
前話したけどそれ徳田があれでしょ。
そうですよ。ドスの時に
大闘技会
そうでキリンの角を食べるとめちゃくちゃ強くなるっていうのあれが成人の儀式なんですよとかいろいろ言ってて、それを回収してくれたんですよね。
またちょっと和のテイストが入ったところに、もう一回チャレンジっていうことになったんだけど、
そうですね、ライズの場合はワールドとは違ったスタンスのゲームにしたい、携帯機の特徴を生かした感じの遊びのサイクルだったりとか、そんなものにしたいっていうふうな話を受けていたので、世界観だったりとかそういったものをちょっとどうしようかなって時に、再度そのモンスターハンターの中でその和のテイストとか、アジア圏のなんかネタみたいなのをちょっとやってもいいのかなっていうので、ちょっと、テーマに今回ちょっとしたって感じではありますね。はい、
モンスターのモチーフも結構、今回、ライズの時は結構ユニークにちょっと妖怪とかをちょっとテーマに入れたりとかすることになったと思うんやけど、その辺のはどういう感じなの？
もう少しテーマ性とかをそれぞれ持たせれないかなっていうので、少しより具体的に、妖怪をテーマとか何かちょっと分かりやすい共通のテーマ性みたいなのを持たせることで、過去作のモンスターとかともちょっと違った、ものを作れないかなっていうので、そういったものをちょっと、お題として出させてもらったっていうのはありますね。
でシステム的なところでいうとやっぱかけり虫っていうのは初めて入っている、システムになるんやけど、
ちょっとゲームのその地形を使った遊びってもちょっと考えようかった時に、こう壁に張り付いたりだったりとか、地形でいろんなことをしたいっていうところがあり、ワイヤーを使ったようなアクションっていうのをちょっと足したいなっていうところから、単純にワイヤーでフックをかけてなんか登るとかそういったものではなくて、ちょっとせっかくモンスターハンターの世界なんで何か生き物を使った形でそういったものをちょっと表現しようっていうのがかけり虫だったりしますね。はい、
お供でいうとここでアイルじゃないお供としてガルクが登場するっていうことになる。
犬ファンの形が犬とかも何かしらの形で出えへんかなみたいな話とかで、そのお供の形でできないかなっていうところから、アイルと同じような獣人の形した犬のままだと役割的にはあんまり変わんない、なるんで、ちょっとガルクの方はちょっと四つ足の本当に獣、モンスターですねの形で、ハンター側の方に協力してくれるモンスターという生物としてちょっと、新しく作ったっていう感じにはなってますね。
はい、ここからは、鈴木ディレクターを呼んでますので、サンブレイクの方の話を聞いていきたいと思いますと。
よろしくお願いします。
はい、よろしくです。
はい、
世界観のところやねんけど、で、今回ちょっとテーマをライズとは変えたところの理由っていうのは、
もう一度その和の世界で行くよりも、あえてここは洋風に倒すことで、西洋の妖怪ではないんですけれども、やはりモンスターという存在がたくさんいますので、そこら辺をモチーフにした、絵代わりと、それからその遊びの変化っていったところと違った登場人物を出すことができるかもしれないといったところを、総合的に考えた時に、ここをあえて洋風でチャレンジしてみようというところで企画書を書かせていただいてと、もちろん、西洋洋風の世界で進めていこうっていう話、企画自体は立てていたんですが、和風の路線っていうのも、企画自体はベースはありました。はい、なので、アートまでは書かれてるんですよ。陽気払いの里というところでですね、本当にその陽気払いの里で、神楽の里の面々が、また活躍していくといったようなルートっていうのも、自分の中では、温めてはいたんですけれども、残念ながら日の目を見ることはなかった。
フロンティアからモンスターが、久々にというか、エスピナスを持ってきた。あれの経緯は
ちょうどその開発を始める少し前ぐらいのタイミングで、モンスターハンターフロンティアがサービス終了を迎えたタイトルでもあったんですね。遊べなくなってしまったそのユーザーの皆さんに、そのモンスターハンターフロンティアの要素っていうのを何かこう届けられないかなっていう気持ちが一つあったのと、でもう一つはそのモンスターハンターのフロンティアのモンスターっていうのは新鮮に感じられる部分もあるんじゃないかなと、そういった面から一体モンスターを出してみようというふうに考えまして、モンスターハンターシリーズにおいて、直近の作品において、マッチするモンスターどれかなっていうのを考えた時に、生態であったりとか、もしくはアクションであったりとか、そのあたりを考慮した結果、エスピナスという一体を選ばせていただいたということにはなりますね。
なるほど。でモンスターで言ったら、サンブレイクって結構 TU でも達成だよね。
はい。
やっぱメルセナネス締めれたのはなんか締まったね。
そうですね。直前でまずはその天妻が土で、ライズから続く流れのところを一度完結をさせていただいて、 はい、で次に、最後メルゼラのところでしっかりと、ラストを飾る、ラストを締めることができたっていうのは、開発スタッフ一同にとってもすごく、大きなものだったかなというふうに思います。
そうですね。最後にメルゼラに締めて、ね、綺麗にしまったなって感じでよかったね。
はい、
デモとかもちゃんと作ってくれてて、ちゃんとなんかストーリーの保管とかもなんかできたのがすごい良かったって感じだな。
はい、ありがとうございます。
Next up is this. Oh, is that Street Fighter?
It looks like it. There's some familiar faces there.
This is looking really cool. So it looks like a special collaboration between Street Fighter 6 and the Monster Hunter 20th anniversary is on the way. Super excited for this and I can't wait for it.
Same. I wonder how you can hunt a street though.
Looks like you could don Rathalos gear.
Oh. And there is the classic Monster Hunter Greatsword there.
Yeah, that's a Wyvern Jawblade. Oh, and it looks like you can take it into your World Tour adventures. So a little bit of a clash between worlds right here.
Nice little pun there.
And you'll be able to show it off in avatar battles with other players. Looking pretty awesome. Oh, and is that's a Rathalos photo spot. All right.
King of the Skies himself.
Yeah.
And some little Palico buddies as well.
Yeah, the Battle Hub will be proper Monster Hunter themed, and that's looking pretty awesome for any hunters and Street Fighter fans. Well, this collab is dropping in April, so be sure to watch out for further details.
The Monster Hunter Now Celebration 2024 is happening right now in Monster Hunter Now. And as part of that, hunters can receive a special hunter medal, including the main logo of the Monster Hunter series 20th anniversary by completing special anniversary-themed quests. Now, hunters, get out there and join the hunt because these quests are available until Sunday, March 24th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. in your local time.
The Hunter's Choice Top Monster was announced today, and Zinogre took the #1 spot. In celebration, the following events will be held in Monster Hunter Now. Zinogre's guaranteed appearance at Huntathon points was planned to end on Wednesday, March 13th, but it turns out it will be extended until Monday, March 25th at 11:59 p.m. local time.
But wait, there's even more. The second major update, the Vernal Invader, will go live on Thursday, March 14th, 2024. Now, prepare yourselves, hunters, and check out this recently released teaser. This major update will mark the beginning of a new in-game season with even more new additions, including monsters such as Deviljho, Odogaron, and Zitsuyaku, as well as a new weapon type, the Charge Blade. What's more, this new update will bring new features such as layered equipment and the Season Pass, great for you fashion hunters. The Season Pass will allow you to progress through tiers as you play, with different rewards such as Zenian materials available at every tier. There will even be certain layered equipment and other items that can only be acquired with the Season Pass.
In celebration of the anniversary, a layered t-shirt with the main logo of the Monster Hunter series 20th anniversary can be obtained at Tier 20 of the Season Pass. In Part 2 of the Monster Hunter Now Celebration 2024, you can look forward to event quests celebrating the 6-month anniversary, as well as various new rewards and perks. And if you're a Discord Premium member, you have a campaign running from March 19th, and more details will be announced at a later date. This is a great opportunity for members who've never played Monster Hunter Now to try it out, so we hope you check it out. We've got a cute version of the Monster Hunter series 20th anniversary logo, and it'll appear in Monster Hunter Now. Via a new event quest that will be introduced in late April, you'll be able to earn a layered t-shirt bearing this cute version of the Monster Hunter series 20th anniversary logo. More details will be announced at a later date.
Going forward, Monster Hunter Now will have a major update once per season. We're looking forward to bringing you more new content and improved gameplay in further updates. This summer, we're planning on adding more new monsters, including Monster Hunter Now's very first Leviathan, as well as a new weapon type and more story chapters to be unlocked. In September, Monster Hunter Now will celebrate its first anniversary. You can look forward to a major update around this time. We'll continue adding monsters, weapon types, and new features after that too, so look out for future updates and announcements. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Community Roundtable part of the Monster Hunter 20th Anniversary Show. Of course, I'm Jono, European Community Manager on Monster Hunter, and over on the opposite side there is Joe, the North American Community Manager on Monster Hunter, and today we have some very, very special guests. How about you introduce yourselves, starting with Kogath?
Hey, I'm Kogath. I'm Monster Hunter Wiki guy. You see me a lot of times on Twitter, or X, whichever you'd like to call it. Normally I'd have a camera up, but since mine's not working, I'm a ping tuber for today.
Well, I'm Vampy. I also go by Vampy Bit Me, and I've been a fan of the Monster Hunter series for quite some time now. Not as long as maybe these guys, but I love it ultimately the same, and I love making costumes of the characters, of the armor sets and everything. And I just enjoy Monster Hunter as a series as a whole. So I'm glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Rurikon, and I play the Gunlance, and I like big explosions. And that's really cool in Monster Hunter, so that's what I do. I just blow things up, and it's fun.
Amazing. Well, thanks everybody for being here. We're so glad to have all of you here for this pretty casual chat. But 20 years of Monster Hunter, we wanted to take a look back at the growth of this series. It's been an amazing run for the series. Obviously, there's a great future ahead, but we've had a pretty special relationship, I think, growing the Monster Hunter series here, both in the US and in Europe. So want to ask all of you who've played a pretty crucial role in that, what makes Monster Hunter special for each of you? Why don't we start, Kogath, with you, with your relationship with the series?
Well, I started back when I was 18. I was just hanging out at a place named GameStop, just this little video game store. We'd hang out late, play stuff like Capcom vs. SNK and stuff. There was new releases that came out, and I saw the box art, and I'm like, okay, that's a cool dragon on it. Played that for a little bit, got through Velocidrome. I was like, oh, cool. Little blue Velociraptor. Wasn't that bad, right? And I get to Kutku, this pink chicken thing, and I'm like, oh, this should be easy, right? It looks weak. Destroys me. No chance. And just from that, I learned okay, I have to take this seriously. Actually put time into grinding out my gear and stuff, and it hooked me.
Debbie, how about you?
When I first started with the series, I personally was watching my little brother play. He's been playing since the beginning, and he's always pushed me, like, hey, you should play this game. And we have similar tastes, but I was never really into games that needed maybe possibly other people to play with. I was more so a player that liked my own time with maybe like hunting or whatever, so it was a little bit odd for me, but then I love the monsters, and the name itself was very interesting, Monster Hunter. So obviously you hunt monsters, right? So I tried it afterwards with 3, and it honestly got me hooked. Ultimately, it hooked me because of the dialogue. I think that's the main thing that got me in the beginning, and the monsters, but Guildmarm literally made me roll every time she talked. So I was kind of stunned that this kind of game had that kind of dialogue, and also the music. I still listen to the music to this day when I'm like just doing chores and stuff, and I just ultimately love everything about Monster Hunter. It's just so cute. Love the palicos. I love all the weapons that you can, hunt with, and also the community. Probably talk more about that later, but I made so many friends through Monster Hunter, and ultimately, like, my brother and I connect way more now because we can talk about Monster Hunter and all the other games that are out now. So it's pretty cool.
So for me, the first Monster Hunter that I tried was Monster Hunter Tribe, because I had a friend that was always talking up Monster Hunter to me. And the interesting thing is that I actually didn't like it because I couldn't understand what the point was. It's like, oh, I jump into this map, but everything is empty and I'm supposed to fight just one monster. It was kind of like a concept of a game that I had never really experienced before. So it was really weird and it didn't click. But eventually, a friend of mine, this same friend that was always talking up Monster Hunter, took me under his wing. And one of the really cool things that was very surprising for me was I got Monster Hunter Freedom Unite on the Vita, and it was compatible to do ad hoc play with the PlayStation Portable, which to me was like mind-blowing. How are we getting these two completely different consoles to work and everything just works fine? I was super surprised. But then he actually explained to me that the whole concept of, you hunt the monster and then you get its parts and you upgrade your equipment and then you can hunt an even bigger monster and then you get its parts and you upgrade more and you hunt even a bigger monster and so on and so forth. And then the gameplay loop kind of clicked and I got completely addicted to it. So Monster Hunter to me is two things. It is the gameplay loop that it has of constantly upgrading yourself and getting to fight harder challenges, and friendship, because I've also made a ton of friends by playing Monster Hunter, including this friend of mine who got me into Monster Hunter. And then at a later time, I made friends with Gaijin and Eric's and a lot more people in the community. It was just like friggin' awesome. Just had a blast.
Yeah, I think that journey that you described, I think it's kind of like ironic too, because you've really like done that for a lot of other people, right? People kind of discovering the series, maybe they didn't just like click with it right away, and then over time they go over like, they learn all about it. It really starts to click with them, and then they spread the word to other people. So yeah, it's been pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, exactly. And as Vampy said, we're going to be diving into what exactly makes the Monster Hunter community so special. But before then, I have quite arguably the most important question of the whole recording, and it kind of defines you, because in Monster Hunter I feel that as hunters your weapon choice binds you and defines you amongst the community, and with 14 kind of currently existing weapons to choose from. Obviously Rurikan, you did touch on yours there. You're a bit of a blast in the hunt. Me, sword and shield. Ever since Ryu, which is my first Monster Hunter, that's been my one. Like, I love it. It's my bread and butter. So let's pass that down the line. Kogath, you're up.
People know I love the greatsword. It's just always been my main once the first game. Just seeing it evolve throughout the series has been awesome.
I kind of have to say, and I think a lot of people do know, but if you do not know, I'm a hammer main. I love my hammer. I'm kind of like Ryozo, where you see my chart. I don't know if you guys seen Ryozo's chart. I'm sure you have, or if you haven't, it's literally all hammer. And I think majority of the games when I first started was just that, the hammer. And I still love it to this day. And yeah, I love the hammer.
What drew you to it?
It's just I like the feel of the hammer. Like, there's weight to it, And when I'm hunting, I just love breaking parts and I just love bonking the monsters on the head. It just feels good. It's a very satisfying weapon for me. So that's why I use it.
So an interesting thing that happened to me was this one friend that got me into Monster Hunter, when, he was telling me how about I had to pick a weapon, right? And he was, you need to pick a weapon so that you get good with one weapon. And I was like, okay, well, what are the weapons that are available? He starts listing them all off, and suddenly he says Gunlance. And I was like, I want that one. And he's like, no, don't choose that. That one's bad. You don't want to play that one. And I was like, no, that's the one I want. It's definitely the one I want. And the more he tried convincing me otherwise, the more I would double down. No, this is the one.
I think with a lot of us, it just kind of, whatever feels natural to each player, You finally get your hands on it, and you're like, yep, this one feels right. This is what I'm going to use.
That's actually why whenever somebody jumps into a stream or something and asks me, hey, what weapon would you recommend for a newcomer? My recommendation is always, I recommend you go to the training grounds and use all of them and see which one gels with you the most, because a recommendation doesn't really matter if you're going to have to learn them.
Very true. That is very true.
It's kind of like choosing a character in a fighting game. It's like, choose the one that you think looks the coolest and then just give it a shot. See how it feels.
Yeah, exactly. And, each time you pick up a new weapon, it kind of feels like you're playing a different game. Like when I think about like playing Hunting Horn, which I used for my PC playthrough of like Rise and Sunbreak, it was entirely different to what I knew with the sword and shield. And also shout out to any duters out there. Whenever you join any lobbies that I'm in, I love you. I immediately love you. Your buffs, they're always greatly appreciated.
Also, when you're using a different weapon, other than what people are used to seeing you use, you find a new subset of people, and their personalities are vastly different from each other. Like the bow users. I can't stand the bow. Right? Like they start acting, they're a little bit different than the hammer, great sword, the heavy weapons, right? Like they're just like a little bit different. So I find that very interesting. Like a different set of people have a certain kind of personality, I think. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's Lance. Oh, sorry, after you, Joe.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think we always say like with people's weapon choices, it becomes like a big part of their personality, and some people it's like their entire personality, which I love it. I love to see it, so that's great.
Exactly. Lance users, they're like the chillest people you'll ever meet. You think people that are always in the front tanking monster hits are going to be some like really amped up hardcore people, but they are the most laid back folks in the community.
Yes, and they're very precise. My brother is a hardcore lance user, and I'm just like, he's just like, yeah, love the lance, my weapon. But when I talk about my hammer, I'm like, I have this hammer, I'll break these parts for you. What do you need? It's just extra, So it really depends.
Did I miss it, or did Joe not say his weapon?
Oh, I guess I didn't. Yeah, I like Kogath. I'm a great sword main all the way. Yeah,
I just wanted to make.
Yeah, once you see those gigantic damage numbers, it's really hard to go back.
Oh.
It doesn't feel.
I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have any longsword mains or Hogan users in.
Oh, that's just like why? I'm curious now.
It's just a meme in my community that I like to make fun of it, and it's just an exaggerated meme that ended up happening.
Guys, we have to everyone check out the pages now. Everyone raid the pages and find out. Huh?
All my dark secrets will come to light.
Yes.
And talking of that though, you raise a great point about how within the Monster Hunter community, all the different creators groups and the sub communities, even the Reddit page has their own jokes, and that's one of the things that makes the Monster Hunter community so special. And for me, kind of coming into Monster Hunter, it was actually the content creators that taught me how to play the game back in the 3U days. I had my little my 3DS and all of that, and I didn't know how to play this game. I loved hard games. I kind of started with Devil May Cry and things like that back in the day. So I had this hunger for boss fights and hard fighting, and I heard about this game called Monster Hunter that was from Japan, and it's hard. It's the same people that Devil May Cry, and I was like, I'm gonna check that out. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had to collect stuff. I have to sharpen my weapon. What do I do? And it was actually the creators that brought me in. So ever since then, I've had such a soft spot for the creators that kind of really bring the community together and help newcomers settle in. And I think that's something that makes the Monster Hunter community so special, in my opinion, is how welcoming it is, and how in some places, you might see people gatekeeping, oh, you can't use that weapon, that's my weapon. But here, people militantly want you to play their weapon.
Yes.
They want to tell you why their weapon is the best one and why everyone else is wrong. And that's one thing I think is really, really cool about the community. So what about you guys? What makes Monster Hunter community special to you?
Well, on that note, it's there's only one weapon that's got great in its name. Great sword. But yeah, the community has just been something that's kept me going for, past, let's say, 10, 12 years, give or take. Because I started doing community stuff with Monster Hunter Try. I did a couple videos, and then 3 Ultimate, I'd always make sure, there's a new event quest, gotta get a video out, But when I started doing the wiki stuff, it was all about me wanting to give back to the community, wanting to help them any way I can. If it was, teaching them how to play the game or teaching them where to find stuff. And I don't know, it's just always been such to put it, just such a cooperative thing with everybody. All of us going towards the same goal and trying to help bring each other up to help, beat these big monsters.
I love that story because I relate so much. I think all of us do, especially with the community, because I was new too. So back then they would have caravans traveling, and I would go to all these caravans, and my friend brought me, and they're like, you need to meet the community. I'm like, online? They're like, no, you just meet them in person. And they would have these caravans where you can buy things like, merchandise, plushies and stuff. It'll be at Capcom. And I would go with my 3DS, and people were just talking to each other, and I was not used to that in line. And everyone was just comparing each other's monsters, favorite weapons, and it's just that energy when you're around everyone talking about the same thing. Obviously, this amazing game, Monster Hunter, right? So everything was very interesting to me because I'm like, everyone's actually really nice. And I love that. It was almost like, it was a magnet for me because I didn't have that. Especially with fighting games. I love fighting games, but there was always obviously fighting, but everyone's, like Kogat said, everyone's working together. And I made so many friends during that caravan that I pretty much, started to hang out with them around the 4U days. And then it got to a point where I would be bringing my 3DS, so we would have play in our cars. And of course, it would disconnect sometimes, and that'll be the worst. We'll be playing against Crimson Fatalis or something. And if someone fought, I'm not there anymore, so good luck, And we would just have the funnest time laughing at each other. And it's just so fun. It's so fun, and it's actually not as serious as people make it out to be all the time. It's actually hilarious because you see everyone panicking in these moments, and you see everyone, working together and rising up. It's so awesome. Yeah.
I think that really touches up on the point, which is that the Monster Hunter community is very much a super cooperative community, which really just tries to bring more people into their game, which doesn't always happen with a lot of other video games that you have out there. And it just seems like it's one of those things where if somebody has a question, usually people don't go and start making fun of them. It's usually more like, hey, try it like this. Maybe you're doing this thing wrong. Like one really good example is, for instance, HeyJ. I don't know if you guys remember, HeyJ made his video where he said, I actually don't really like this Monster Hunter Rise thing. And the community went up to his video and showered him in comments, basically saying things like, hey, maybe you should have tried it like this. Maybe you should have tried this thing. There wasn't really a negative backlash or anything like that. And I think that is one of the most perfect examples of the community getting together to kind of just celebrate the game and try to be as inclusive to newcomers as possible, even people who have a negative opinion on the game, which I was very impressed. Even though I was aware that because I had been creating content for the game, I was aware that the community is very positive, I would still expect more people to come out and be like, you don't know what you're talking about or something like that. There was almost none of that, which is almost unheard of for a lot of communities, I would say. So yeah, I was very impressed.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that comes from the series kind of having more humble beginnings in kind of the Western territories and being a phenomenon in Japan. And I feel like anybody who got their hands on it here in the US or Europe were just super, super excited about it. They just want people to understand this game is so good. You need to get it. You need to get it. And so I think it's just created this groundswell of everybody wanting people to play Monster Hunter, just to try it, just to understand it. And it's really created a community that's super positive and welcoming. So yeah, it's really great to see.
Yeah, we had all these niche little communities, and we just want more and more people to come join us, Come on, come help with this Rathalos. And, oh, you need help with that monster? I'll help you out. No worries. And we just keep getting together and growing as a family.
I did so many Alatreon lobbies. It was insane. For the moment Alatreon dropped, I think for the next 3 weeks, almost every other day, I was like, okay, guys, everybody that hasn't killed Alatreon yet, let's go. Join the party. We're all coming in. It's a big Alatreon train, and we're going to kill them a bunch of times. Everybody get your materials. It was a celebration. It was that. It was for Cult to Roth. We did the same thing. For Safi Jiva, we did the same thing, so it's a ton of fun.
I agree. The Latreon was crazy because that was the wall that everyone hit, and I think everyone who was streaming at the time like worked together to figure it out. And I remember that day that it launched, and I was like, I'm not sleeping. So everyone here, I'm sure you guys understand, we did not sleep until we figured it out. You know?
Yeah.
And it was crazy. And so I'll always remember that. You know, Latreon's crazy. So good point. Good point.
Thanks for that, Alatreon, as well. We appreciate you bringing the community together.
Yeah.
For the greater good. For the greater good. And well, after you, good sir.
Before I know we're talking a little bit about like World and Rise, and you know, obviously like the series has reached like this global status where like a bunch of people are playing it and everybody knows about it. But let's wind it back a little bit. So I don't know if any of you guys, you know, played the first Monster Hunter on PS2 or played some of the games on PSP, and if you have, what was that first experience like? And if you haven't, are there any like monsters from that era that maybe like really connected with you?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, that's where I started, PS2. And just that first Cutku that destroyed me has stayed with me, and it's become one of my favorite monsters throughout the series. Just a, you know, goofy pink chicken monster that breathes fire. I've never seen anything like that until playing Monster Hunter. And it's been fun watching that monster evolve throughout the series as it comes in, and, you know, it gets subspecies and similar species to it, like Yangaruga.
Even though I didn't play the initial games, I did watch my brother get very angry and throw his controller many times. And I do remember him getting really angry about the Cutku, which I thought, like, are you serious? And he's like, yes. And I was like, okay. So, you know, you're right. Like, seeing it evolve is very interesting to me as a spectator as well. So, that was very cool that you said that, because it did pique my interest a little bit, I think, back then, even though I didn't play the game. So, yeah.
So I always hear about the Kutku and how it was a wall for a lot of players in Monster Hunter 1. I didn't really play Monster Hunter 1, but like I said earlier, I did play Freedom Unite with my friend. And one of my fondest memories was actually Gypsyros. Because Gypsyros does that thing where he plays dead, but he's actually not dead. And so my friend completely trolled me. He was like, oh yeah, he's dead, let's go carve now and whatnot. And the music stops and you're like, oh, okay, this is fine. I go up to carve now. It's not working. Like, is it glitched? Do we get this? And then he just like does his thing and one-shots me. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. And my friend's just laughing himself. I was like, what the hell? What do you mean? That's not fair.
I like how they waited. They're just like, let him cook. let him figure it out. I love that, because that's what we do too. Because we're like, oh, this will be perfect, because they don't know.
That becomes kind of like a rite of passage whenever we bring a new player and we're playing some of the older games or something. It's always like, oh yeah, Gypsyros. Yeah, let's do Gypsyros. Oh yeah, he's fine. Go ahead and go get your loot. It's fine. It's all good.
I can say for me, I joined a little bit later. I was a 3U. That was as I mentioned, my first one.
Same.
And, yeah, and then quite rapidly as well, I was like, I'm going to get into 4U. And then like 4U's when I was like, yeah, I love this franchise. Like, I really enjoyed 3U. And I was like, this is great. This game's cool. And then I jumped onto 4U, and yeah, the rest is kind of history. I was in since then. And yeah, it was really special how even between 3U and 4U, how different the games felt. You know, one thing about Monster Hunter is like each generation has a different feel to it, and some new additions and things like that, was keeping the core DNA there. So you're always on your toes, always finding out fresh things, even for your favorite weapons. The identity is still there, but they play a bit different, or they have a few tricks, or what they have has changed. Like, you know, when you think, for example, between 3 to 4U and then jumping ahead and you look at the difference between like World and Rise, there's always something new, and there's always something to grow as a hunter and to try out, and that's what I found really, really fun.
Yeah. You know, speaking of that era where you kind of started, John, that's also where I started as well. And honestly, it's the guides from the community and different creators that helped me really get into it. So You talked about it a little bit, but is there any like kind of key memories from that era of Monster Hunter 3DS that that really resonated with you guys?
The first time jumping in the water and actually being able to swim in it, that was amazing.
There's so many memories. I can't even, I mean, Gormagala showing up, Tetsukabra, you know, fighting that, and then, you know, making all the armor sets. I think that game also hooked me. I couldn't believe how immaculate to me that game was. And it's still to this day just indented into my, I guess, memory. I even told the previous community managers it changed my life. And they're like, huh? And I'm like, no, I'm being serious. This game changed my life. And I think they kind of were like taken back by that. And I was like, no, it was, my hands were bruised. That's how much I held on to my 3DS, and it was bruised on the sides, and it was I was clenching the whole time. I didn't move most of my days. I was in my bed playing, crafting, and it was just, I almost felt like I was manic. I love the game so much, and I was like, this is it. I love Monster Hunter, and I think that definitely solidified my passion the 4U days. So yeah, it's great.
I mean, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate is literally the only reason why I even bought a 3DS to begin with, because I don't care about 3DS at all. Like, I usually play home console and stuff like that, but 4 Ultimate did not come out on home console, so I was like, well, I have to get this 3DS because I definitely want to be playing this game. And 4 Ultimate is still one of my favorite Monster Hunter stories. And I know that a lot of people don't really play the game for the story, it's more for the gameplay loop and all that, but the journey that you take throughout Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, from the beginning where you fight, is it the Ran or Genran? I think it's the Ran in 4 Ultimate. You fight the Ran, and I was like, this fight is awesome. You load the cannons with the bullets, and you shoot the cannons, and the whale flies over you and whatnot, and all these crazy things happen. I love that, and I've been asking since forever, please bring them back at some point. I had such hopes for Rise, to see them in Rise, but yeah, I love that introduction. And I love the progression of the story, because in 4 Ultimate, you actually get to visit multiple villages. So you get that feeling, because every village in Monster Hunter always has a very unique vibe to it. From the music to the NPCs that are there, to the interactions and even the quests and some of the characters that you meet while you are there. And in 4 Ultimate, you get to experience that feeling multiple times, which to me was really cool. And you know, even the whole thing about min-maxing your palico a little bit, and in 4 Ultimate, we also got Charge Blade for the first time and mounting for the first time. So I was even playing Insect Glaive because I just wanted to mount all the time, because I thought, oh, this mechanic is so cool. And just like stabbing at the monster while he's like wildly trying to get you off and whatnot. It was.
You remember the pizza cutter thing?
Oh yeah.
I just remember seeing that for the first time, because you're just like grouping up with people and you're like, is that pizza? And then for me, I was shocked, and I was like, "Oh, what weapon is that? Do I get pizza?" And I had a hammer. Of course, we're not gonna have a pizza. So I was like, "Oh, I need to try that weapon." It didn't click with me at the time, but it looked cool. They had really cool weapons, you know, styles and everything. That made me laugh a lot too. So, yeah.
I believe that the first corn popper was Freedom Unite, if I'm not mistaken. So we also had the corn popper.
Corn popper.
It's just a big, it's just a big piece of corn, which, interestingly enough, in Monster Hunter Rise was like one of the best gun lances in the game.
Oh man, that sounds cool. I did not. Yeah, I need to play that weapon now. Corn popper.
Play gun lance.
Weapons are so funny. So many different designs.
Hey, it's always good to go back, you know. Yeah.
It's like when I first saw the tuna greatsword. I was like,
yeah.
No, an ice elemental greatsword. No, I'm holding an actual spear tuna by the nose and swinging it at monsters. And then for like hammer, you get this teddy bear that you beat people with.
Yeah.
This is perfect. I love this.
Yeah, the range of weapons, you know, you've got your serious kind of weapons, you've got the cool looking weapons, more traditional ones, and then obviously you've got like the comedy weapons almost. Like, you know, I think is that you can get a couple of mugs of beer or some other beverage, and I think, is it World?
For dual blades. For dual blades, yeah.
Blades.
I think
you get the Dargo dual blades in Rise. Like, yeah, there's a load of cool weapons. Obviously, the sword and shield, though, we're quite humble, mostly. I did get my Zenoga sword and shield in Rise, though, 'cause I do like that. It growls when you bring it out. And kind of talking of that, obviously we've touched on about how we got into Monster Hunter, whether that's friends, family, content creators, or looking for a challenge. And during all that time in the early days, for many it was kind of seen as kind of a niche game, almost. And then all of that changed with a little game called Monster Hunter World. So how was that for you, seeing this game that you love and this community that you've been a part of and kind of nurtured for so long, suddenly kind of really go global? How was that?
It was insane, because I was at that E3, and normally it's like, okay, we'll have one community manager there. We had all of them on staff there that day, and tons of the content creators there, and I'm like, oh, this is a big thing. We've got this big, huge statue of Rathalos looking up at that, and I'm like, this isn't just, the niche little fandom that I had before. No, this is Monster Hunter worldwide. And just being there with everybody was so cool, and meeting people that have been with the series for a while or just getting into it. We'd have all kinds of, people that aren't used to the series come up and be like, what is this big monster here? And it's like, well, this is Rathalos. He's one of the main flagships of this game series, and being able to tell them about it, and then actually getting to see the gameplay, and it's not flat world anymore. It's all these massive landscapes, and being able to track the monsters around, actually feel like you're hunting them it's insane.
It's hard for me to put a lot of this stuff into words, to be quite honest, because when I saw the words Monster Hunter on my screen, when they made the announcement, I felt my whole body, bumps everywhere. I was goosebumps. I almost wanted to tear up. I screamed in my house. I remember the day. I was like, Monster Hunter is coming to PlayStation. I still feel it. Like, I remember who was around me. I remember the moment, and I was like, this is going to be crazy, because it was always on handheld for me. So to be able to play on my, PS4, nuts. And I was like, this is it. Everyone has to play now. Everyone has to. So I remember the trail of Twitter posts I was making. I was like, so it's time for you guys all to play now. You have no excuse. It's on PS4. You're going to have a demo. That means a demo. So when the demo came out, it was over. I was playing that nonstop. I didn't sleep. It was awesome. And I could slide down, with my hammer and, I was just, it was great. Anyway, moving on. I loved it. All of it.
So to me, that was so meaningful that I actually don't remember a single other thing that was announced during that E3. It was just like, no, whatever. It's Monster Hunter is finally coming. Because the thing was, I had covered Monster Hunter in my channel before the announcement of World, but it was always like one of those things where I couldn't really dedicate as much time as I wanted to it, because one of the things about content creation is about timing, right? And so Monster Hunter games before that were out in Japan, and then 1 year later they would come to the West. And by then, most of the really, dedicated content creators they would buy the Japanese version, and they would somehow manage to interpret what was going on in the game. And I was like, I can't do that. I don't know. I can't try out the game in Japanese. It's just really weird to me. I can't play it like that. So when I realized that this one was going to have a worldwide release, I was like, oh my God, I've been waiting for this for so long. I've been wanting to cover. So instantly, just video after video, telling people about how amazing this game is, and we all need to play this game. This is going to be insane. And it was that. And then the moment the demo came out was when it all came together, because I was like, up until that point, you don't really know what the gameplay feels like. Because Monster Hunter has this texture to it, to the way that it plays, the way that each move feels, and when you hit the monster and all of that. And with the more, let's say, more fluid animations that we're seeing for Monster Hunter World and all, a lot of people were questioning themselves, is it still going to feel like Monster Hunter? And when we finally get our hands in the beta, it's like, yes, it still feels like it's so good. And it was just completely insanity from there. I was completely addicted. I put in way over 100 hours in that demo, checked out every single weapon, did runs where we were killing all of the monsters that were just there that you weren't even supposed to kill, like chase after Rathalos because he shows up, and chase after Anjanath when he shows up. And there was even like a rare monster that wouldn't always show up, which was Puke Puke, I think. So like there was a chance that the Puke Puke would spawn in the map, but it would only do it like once every 100 times or something ridiculous like that. So everybody was running through the beta over and over and over trying to see if they could get the Puke Puke to spawn.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things about World also, and Iceborne, getting to Iceborne, is that it was the first kind of like free title update and expansion that was all happening for a Monster Hunter title. So it was like the game launched, and then it was like a longer term relationship with the game, honestly, like several years of playing, and people are still playing today. So I think that's one of the cool things, is that, you know, being able to like go along for the ride, see all the monsters revealed with the different events and whatnot. I think that was just really cool to see. And I know the team really loves, you know, the monster reveals and seeing everybody's reactions. So yeah, anytime we see your guys' reactions, we're always making sure that the team in Japan knows about it as well.
The changing of the gathering hub was also fantastic. The way that it would completely change whenever there was a new event, like, hey, here's the spring event, completely different gathering hub. And it would always bring the community together because everybody wanted to go farm the special like events that would be available at any given time to get all the special timed rewards and whatnot. I thought that was an absolute blast. And even when the sieges would come, and, you know, again, the community would just jump back in and everybody would be grinding stuff. It was really cool. And another really cool aspect was the fact that the lobbies would actually hold more players. So you would constantly have like a bunch of players in your lobby and different people running different things. It was just such a good time.
I love that. Yeah, like the 16 people, you know, player lobbies was nuts. And being able to take pictures, I mean, I loved taking pictures with everyone. Because, you know, being able to do that, capture those memories with everyone, and also having all the hunts be faster, so you can get your weapons. And you know, if you don't want to hunt that monster, you can go somewhere else to the other side and someone's hunting. You know, so I loved how fluid everything was, and I think also cooking the steaks a lot faster. You know, it's just everything was perfect, and it felt like a challenge. You know, like every time you played the monsters that came out, it was a challenge, you know, and it brought a little bit of a good stress, I think. I really love that. I was like, oh man, this one's gonna be hard, guys. I guess we're not sleeping tonight. And that's one of our favorite things to say to each other, like, are you prepped for this? Did you shower? Did you fry some snacks? Do you have two different waters? You can't, like, two different drinks? You have to have water and something else. So we would prep each other. It's just so funny. Because it's like, you know, when a new one, you know, a new monster comes out for the free title updates, you know, it's just all that stuff. You prep each other too. So it's awesome. It was awesome. I love those days. And we have them again, you know? We still have them again. You know, people are still going, you know, coming back to World.
Oh, yeah.
I am. So it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I loved always seeing the big gathering halls just full of people. You know, you'd have people on one side playing, just, you know, at the, what was it, like a little hot spring? They'd just be hanging out in there. You'd have people doing the arm wrestling. And it was great as a streamer because you could have just different groups of people be like, all right, we completed this quest, let's shuffle the next group in. And you'd just constantly be working together towards stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. And, you know, you've all actually touched on kind of our next topic, which is kind of favorite memories from World and Iceborne. And, you know, for me, it kind of starts quite humble with having more of my friends actually come into Monster Hunter and playing through with them and grinding and farming with them. But then I found that I was getting experiences that actually really got my heart pumping. Obviously talking about title updates and, you know, Alatreon, which I absolutely love, because I'm a sword and shield, so I use elemental weapons anyway. So, like, I was right at home.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing with that, having that, you know, you had to kind of hit that damage limit before the Nova attack. And you think you're close, but you don't know, and you know it's going to do it soon. Is it Eschaton Judgment, I think?
Eschaton Judgment, yeah.
And I'm like, are we there? Are we there? Have we got the horn yet? And you can hear like the heartbeat kind of go in, and then your heartbeats go in. And the first time we beat that was just an incredible feeling. Like Fatalis was great as well. Fatalis was insane, but just the kind of pressure I felt in that hunt. And then the kind of the nostalgic music playing at the end as well when you do take down Alatreon. That was really, really, really special. And as a Sword and Shield user, I felt validated that my elemental set was so good.
Go, Gath.
I'm trying to think.
Okay, Vampy, do you want to go? Because I have mine.
The most memorable thing about World? There's
The most memorable thing that happened to you while you were playing World.
Oh. This is really hard, guys. Like, there's so many things.
I know, right? That's
World,
why
right?
I have trouble with it.
Like, I have to say Alatreon, because when it came out, I was like, okay, how is this going to be different? How is it going to be different to hunt? And also, being a hammer user, everyone was counting on me every time I streamed. Can you break this for me? Can you break? And of course, you don't want to let them down. You're like, yeah, I got you. So I had to practice. So I definitely remember, a lot of the community would come into my streams like, can you break this for me? Break that for me? Especially during that time. And I was giving myself a lot of stress. I was like, you better break it. The first part, you better break it. So I had to be exact with everything I was doing. So when it first came out, I think I slept at like 8 in the morning. I had some people come in, previous, friends of mine in the community, and they're like, did you sleep yet? And I'm like, no, we haven't beaten it yet. I will not sleep. And you shouldn't make promises in the beginning of a stream. I recommend don't do that, because you're not gonna rest. But that was definitely one of my most memorable, because when we did finally beat him, it was with the people that I hunted the most, because we worked very well together, so we can synchronize and we trusted each other, that we knew our weapons very well. And I think that's one of the main things, is working with a team that knows their weapon and knows timing, and being able to have that camaraderie with friends is awesome. So yeah, same then.
So it'd be easy to also go after Alatreon. So I'm going to mention 2 other things that were extremely memorable for me. So one of the first ones was one of the first times I interacted with Basilgoose, which ends up being my favorite monster, particularly the seething variant that we got with Iceborne. That's my favorite monster of all time. Easy. Because I'm all about explosions and he's all about explosions. But the really cool thing was that he would just jump into your hunts and be the most annoying creature ever. I was fighting, I think one of the first times, I was high rank fighting a Radabon in what was it called? I forget the name of the place where Radabon hangs out. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
The Rotten Vale.
Rotten Vale. So I'm in there and I'm fighting Radabon, and he comes in and he starts dropping, his bombs. And I was like, what's this? And then I hit one of them by mistake and it explodes in my face. Now, what's going on? And then he drops in, boom. I was like, what is this? What's going on? And then he leaves. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I continue fighting Radabon. And after a while, he comes in and does the same thing again. And I was like, no, this is not right. So I chase him all over the map. You're not supposed to fight him at that point. But I just chase him all over the map, and I fight him for, I don't know for how long I fought him, but I caught it 3 times to him, and I lost the quest because I was just like, forget Radabon, I need to kill him because he's so annoying. So like that rivalry, I was super excited about that. That's one of my favorite memories. And the other one was actually a collaboration, Extremoth, if you guys remember, Behemoth, but like the extreme version of him. Because that required so much coordination that I had to like bring in my previous expertise from MMO raiding. And I was like, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. When he does Charybdis, everybody that has the thing under you, you have to go to one of the corners of the map. You have to drop your tornado in the corner of the map. Then you come back. I was playing Sword and Shield for that. I made a build that was all about like wide range, healing, speed eating, whatever was the thing that made you sometimes not consume your consumables. Yeah. I forget what the name of the skill is, but I had all of those things going, and the idea was everybody in my lobby, you never have to heal. You never have to worry about that. All you got to do is deal damage, okay?
Yeah.
And I know exactly when I want the mount, so I will do the mounting when it needs to be done. I will do everything. And it was amazing because it was such a thing that required so much coordination, and it took a tremendous amount of time to actually do. And it was a ton of fun to go through and do that fight. I loved it.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, when you're talking about it, I visually was seeing like how everything mapped out because I never used my radial. I usually just craft everything.
Oh, wow.
That was the first time I actually used it. I was like, oh, I have to like have that jump mechanic, you know? So I had to put it on the bottom of my radial, and I was like, okay, do the the healings and all that stuff. It's just crafting on the spot, you know? So that was definitely one of them that I had to use for.
Using the Dragoon jump to escape the meteor?
Yeah.
No, I was always hiding behind the rock.
It's all timing, and I think that's one of the things too, like, you know, to learn it, right? Like so well that you know the time, right? Like everything's timing. And especially with those kind of monsters, you're like, okay, better count. So we're counting too. It was really crazy. I was like, what? I felt insane. I think that hunt, I definitely felt like an insane person. But also, you wanted the armor set. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I felt so cool, and you can change the colors and everything. I was like, oh, look at me. Like every time you go into, you know, like the Gathering Hub and you have a new set, you always feel like in 4U where you could like change the color.
So fancy.
I know. You just feel so cool. Like, oh, I have it. You don't have it? Like,
oh, that's
oh, you don't have it.
Oh, right there. Oh man, too bad. I guess
right there.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you know, I'm good, I guess.
Stream life.
Love that. No, but it was fun. It was fun.
At the same time, a lot of us would be like, "Oh, you don't have that? Well, come on, let's go get it."
That's true.
Make our friends.
That's true.
Let's help do them.
It was a lot of fun. It was really good times.
So, Matt, did we circle back around to you?
For me, what impacted me the most was when Iceborne came out and we got near the end of it, and all of a sudden, here's the general showing up. You know, hey Hunter, we need you. It's like, there's more story? You guys are adding more? And the whole nostalgia wave of going back and having to fight Fatalis again, it's like, I get to teach you this lesson again, old man. Here we go. And I just loved how much it was still the same, yet different at the same time. It's like a lot of the old strategies still worked. It's still Fatalis, but they changed it so much with Iceborne, and just, again, how much this series evolves through time. It's crazy, and it just really moved me hearing the music again. And you'd get those goosebumps. You're like, yep, this is it again. This is why I'm hooked on this series.
And when you get Proof of a Hero, when you get him low enough and Proof of a Hero kicks in, it almost brings tears to your eyes. Oh, let's go. He's down. We gotta get him.
Every time anyone talks about anything, I'm just my face. I feel like getting hot because I'm like, I know how you feel, and that's the coolest thing. Like, anytime someone tells their story, you can feel a little bit of yourself in that moment, you know, with them. So it's awesome.
I just see now it's obvious the team definitely thinks about what they add to the game.
Yeah.
And everything they do, even with the collaboration quests they do. It's not just, yep, here's an outfit from this game. With World, they added new quest lines and really made you feel like part of their world as well as part of Monster Hunter.
Yeah. Honestly, when Proof of a Hero hits in that Fatalis fight, I feel like my brain just like hits like a weird, like, I don't know, a weird level where I'm just like, nothing else matters. And I think I've made some mistakes in that hunt at the end because I've just stopped thinking at that point. It's too crazy.
I mean, on my first solo kill, by the end, I was actually playing Sword and Shield, and I was just like mashing circle, like, just die. There was like 10 seconds left. Just die, please, just die.
And you don't know when because you're just moving back and forth, and it's not very obvious because you're in contained area. You're like, you gonna die?
For me, it amps me up. Like, that music hits, and I'm standing up now playing the game. Like, come on, let's go.
The lean in.
Wow. It was hard, though, man. Like, Fatalis is hard, but that was rough. Yeah, that was a rough one, for sure, but very fun. And he looked amazing. Oh, my God. Just to see him in that way, I was like, dang, what? Like, I remember when you're like that. Real tiny. Like, you would fly over me, you know, like in that lava area, you know, so it's very interesting to see him that big. So.
Yeah, well, we'll move it on from World and Iceborne. Obviously, that's such a huge topic. It's really tough to. But
Could be here.
yeah, we could keep chatting for forever. I want to touch on Monster Hunter Stories, which we just recently announced that Monster Hunter Stories 1 is coming back to modern platforms, which is really exciting. But have you guys played either of the two Stories games? I mean, we both Jono and I think we've already talked about some of our memories in the pre-show. We both love those games and the different, like, kind of turn-based RPG style it brings to the series. But how about you guys?
Oh yeah, I've played them. Like, when I first saw them, it was their predecessor. There was this arcade machine in Japan called Monster Hunter Spirits, and they'd have all these little baby designs of monsters. So I was like, those are really cute. I really want those. And then seeing them bring it over to consoles, change it to Monster Hunter Stories, I was like, yep, this is what I want. I love these kind of games. And just the characters really grab me. I know Navi-Ro is not for everyone, but I absolutely adore him. Really excited first game's coming back because not many people have experienced that story, and it gives so much backstory on him, and it will make you love him. Just the story, the narrative, and the gameplay is great because you're actually getting to fight with these monsters that you've known and loved over the years, and just forming that bond with them is so cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that when I initially started getting into the Monster Hunter series, being able to play with others, but my first love is RPG, like just those turn-based style games. So having that style of game for Monster Hunter introduced to me, you know, and being able to play it is just two of the best worlds together for me. Seeing it very cute in that way, chibi, and also like their story, and also like getting my friends who are RPG nerds like that, the turn-based style, getting them into it was really easy. They're like, oh, why do you always play Monster Hunter? What are these monsters? I don't understand anything. And even though they don't like the other kind of game style, they could play this, and they thoroughly enjoyed this. So the stories was perfect for every kind of person that, you know, that I could talk to about Monster Hunter. And they eventually learned all the monsters too. So when I would stream the other games, they were like, oh, so that's Rathalos. And I'm like, what? And I'd never heard them talk about Monster Hunter before. So it was just kind of cool, but weird at the same time. Like, oh, yeah, sure. Then that means you have to play in other games now. So they liked it too. They loved it. So I loved it. They loved it. And it's pretty awesome that for me, seeing it in that way was really cute and fun. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
I got to see Legiacris again after so long. I've missed Legiacris for so long because, like like I said, I started with Try, even though it didn't really click with me. I still had fond memories of that mission where you jump into the water and there's Legiacris just being super menacing and whatnot. So being able to see him in that game and actually have him on my team was really cool. But ultimately, just being able to actually ride a Basel Goose around, I was like, oh, this is so awesome. And the cool thing is also that you fight alongside the monsters. And so, you know, I would also be wyvern firing because you guys actually put gun lance as one of the weapons, because I don't think all of the weapons were in there. So the fact that we had gun lance, I was like, yes, gun lance, and you could actually wyvern fire alongside the monsters. It was just an absolute blast. I loved it. And the ultimate attack that we could do with the Basel Goose was also freaking amazing. So it's like, I was like me and my boy Basel going all over the place, killing all of the other monsters and whatnot. And yeah, it was perfect. Love
Any game where you can befriend Kazu, I think is great in my book.
Is that your favorite?
Oh no, but
It's okay. I was wondering.
But he has the best theme. You gotta admit. I mean,
oh yeah, that OST. Yeah, the headphones just explode.
OST? Did you say the OST? Oh yeah, the best. The best.
I'm
I'm a fan. I love Kazu.
You've raised a good point, Vampy. We've not actually revealed our favorite monsters yet. So, as you brought up the topic, would you like to start?
Oh, Brachydios. When I first saw him, I was like, what is he doing in there? The lava area and for you, I was like, what is his head doing? And he just blow things up. Like Basilgeuse, right? He would just blow things up at the same time. I'm like, what is this? But I loved he was actually very cute to me. Even though he was like causing destruction, I was like, this guy's adorable. And I think Guild Marm helped in that. She kept talking about him and made me obsessed too. And I was like, he's pretty interesting. She kind of brainwashed me, so I really liked Bragdios, so that's my favorite monster.
Mine has kind of evolved over the years since, I started with the beginning, and just the love of Kutku lasted quite a long time. Then finally Generations came out, and I see Gamoth on this big, beautiful elephant, and fell in love with her. And then now we've got Malzeno, and I just absolutely love the vampire vibes of him, and color scheme, and just everything clicks with me.
Yeah. Those are awesome, but again, to me, it's Seething Basilgeuse. I mean, he literally jumps up in the air, drops a bunch of bombs, and then explodes as a nuclear explosion in the middle of the map. Gorgeous. Love it. Can't get enough of it.
You're like, I'm a simple man.
Exactly. I like explosions. You know how they say cool guys don't look at explosions? That's not me.
I feel that, though. I feel that. I see it. Every time someone talks about their favorite monster and just that one, I know them already. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
I see what you like.
Cool. How about you? Well, yeah, I'm a Devil Joe fan. I have to. It's my name is in it.
Oh, you like?
But also, yeah, I love the pickle. It's got like the tiny arms, so it just invades right in. Just completely destroys whatever hunt that you're doing, which I love that. It's just like the unpredictability, and also it's just got so much charm. It's just like this.
Do you remember the pickles that they used to sell? Do you ever see those? At the caravan, they sold Devil Joe pickles. It was really. I still have it, which is kind of gross, but I still have the thing. I was like, why? But then I bought it. I was like,
how many years ago now?
I don't want to remember because I didn't look at it either. I said, it's kind of gross. But anyway. Yeah. But Devil Joe, yeah, I think he's the Devil Joe, his character, we could talk about this for the whole stream, but like Devil Joe's character is very interesting. Like, you want to troll him.
Yeah.
Like, he's not very serious to me. He's just like there, and he's just
hungry all the time.
Just never scared at him. I'm just like, okay, come over here. But yeah.
But yeah, before we end up on the mythology of whether or not Devil Joe eats his own tail or not, my favorite monster, and I'm not copying you, I swear, is Brachydios as well. It's blue, first of all, and I'm quite fond of that color. Explosions, like early on in my Monster Hunter tenure, I really kind of liked slime weapons. I loved explosions and blasts, but not to the level of Gunlance. Appreciators, obviously, they like big explosions. And obviously, what we now know as the blast status. And I just love its music. I love how it fights. I love how it looks. It's raw. And then, obviously, in Iceborne with Raging Brachy, like, normally when a monster's nearly done, it's limping away, it's going to sleep, but Raging Brachy's like, oh, no, I'm not stuck in here with you, you're stuck in here with me. And then it creates that arena neither of you are leaving until the other's fallen. And I just think that's, like, one of the most badass things I've seen in a video game. It just flips the end of a hunt on its head, and things get even harder for you. You slogged against this giant Brachy for ages, and it's not done with you yet. So yeah, I've got to be another one for the big blue monster. I kind of talking as well. I know obviously Kogath mentioned Malzeno. Obviously, Rise and Sunbreak, the most recent Capcom Monster Hunter releases. Like for me, like talking about my favorite parts of that is I've never played so many different weapons in a Monster Hunter game than I did Rise and Sunbreak. And for me, that would be the Switch Scrolls and Switch Scroll Swap and the Silkbind attacks. I loved they introduced Shield Bash and Metsu Shurigeki for the Sword and Shield, which I loved. They made the Switch Axe into this aerial menace. Like, no other title made me explore so many weapons, and I love it for that. What about you guys? What were your highlights of Rise and Sunbreak?
Honestly, I really liked I forget what we called them now, but that base defense.
Rampage,
that's it. I just thought it was cool because it was something different. It's like, yes, we're still hunting the monsters, but we're on defense, not on offense this time. We're not going to their home, they're coming to our home. Yeah, just the story of that game really hit me too, especially as they added the rampages, following along with the story and how, following Narwa and Ibushi, and just how they interacted with the NPCs was really cool.
Yeah, that was definitely a lunch date that I'd say they remember, but Ibushi probably won't.
Now, like further in the Sunbreak, when they added the ability to hunt with the NPCs, I thought that was great. That's just something I've been wanting for a long time, because a lot of times I'll play solo if I'm not streaming or I have friends online, and then I still have that camaraderie with the NPCs, and some of them are unpredictable. I never know when they're going to shoot me in the back of the head while I'm trying to go after a monster, or sometimes they'll just run off and you're like, what are they doing? And then here they come riding in on a monster. It's like, I love this. This is perfect.
I really like the theme of the whole game. It's just very different from what I was used to anyway, especially vastly different from World and Iceborne. Being able to get to know the NPCs was very interesting too, because they had a lot of personality. They always had personality, but a lot more in this game. And also, I do agree with the trying new weapons. I actually tried all of the weapons in this one and played all of the weapons in this one as much as possible, more than generally what I would just use hammer or hunting horn or something. Also, being able to guess the next monsters, I think, is always really fun. So Shaguru Magala, Gore Magala, Astalos, that was freaking me out, because I was like, oh, this is crazy. Seeing them come back and, I kind of guessed it was Gore, but then, everyone was doing their guessing game online. So seeing them again was very exciting, especially if you're, playing for you a lot in those games and generations. You're like, oh, they're back. That's really cool. And of course, everyone ate a lot of dango. And then, that was really fun, because everyone's like, I'm full of dango again. And we always made jokes about that. They're like, what are you eating today? Oh, dango? What else do you think I'm eating? And also the little tiny Tetsukabra. That was really cute, seeing that in there. So I think they put a lot of thought into all of the ideas into that game, especially for fans. So I really enjoyed it.
I feel like I've already revealed this in some other video that we did a while back, but one of my favorite moments was when I unlocked Blast Dash, because I was just in the training area, and then suddenly I realized, wait, I can chain this move? So I'm like, Blast Dash, and then I Blast Dash in the opposite direction, and you can do it 3 times in a row. And I was like, wait, what? I can basically fly. There was even a meme that people made where there was because we had the wire bugs, right? So people were saying that normal users normal players of Monster Hunter Rise were like Spider-Man, and Gunlance players were like Iron Man, because we were flying around with the gun.
Very true.
That was so much fun, and the tremendous amount of play styles that it unlocked for Gunlance, where you had at the beginning of Rise, you had stake spam, because you could basically just constantly do the worm stake, and then you would do guard reload and then worm stake again, and then you had different playstyles with full burst, and it was crazy. Just the amount of playstyles that the game unlocked for any given weapon was completely insane, which was one of my favorite aspects of it. I did play a ton of different weapons as well, but as per usual, I settled on the Gunlance, and once we got to Sunbreak, they even gave us the Bullet Barrage, which is you just unload all the Gunlance things at once, and you Blast Dash into the monster. And naturally, Gunlance mains all had to come up with a way, we need to just do this skill non-stop. So just get all the things that synergize with quick wire bug recovery and bullet barrage, bullet barrage, bullet barrage. Sick.
Yeah, I may have picked up Gunlance because of your videos on that. Once I saw the bullet barrage, I'm like, I'm in. So I had to quite a bit with the Gunlance. It's pretty incredible.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, like talking of the monsters, actually, obviously, you mentioned obviously like the themes. Obviously, we got the yokai, and then you've kind of got folklore monsters in Sunbreak, and even me, I love Gormagala as well. It's probably like top 3 monster for me. And seeing it come back, and I remember when the trailer came out, it's like, is that a Gosharag variant? And then no, Gormagala comes out of nowhere. And like, yeah, Gosharag as well, like, this monster, when it stuns you, get a unique animation where it slowly drags its ice blade up to you and things like that. And then, obviously, I can't get this quest out of my head. I can't remember the name exactly, but when the Curio are kind of at their highest strength, Guys of Gorm is on the horizon, and you go into the Citadel, and everything is gone. There's no spirit birds, there's no endemic life, there's no small monsters. You even see the corpses of large monsters. There's no music, it's silent, and I've not experienced anything like that in a Monster Hunter game. And narrative has caught me off guard so much. That was quite something, and I really wanted to talk about it, like, once I played through it, like, when the game was out, but I couldn't because I wanted other people to have that experience and that surprise. Like, what kind of thing, whether it's a favorite monster from Rise and Sunbreak or a favorite moment like that, what would you say really stood out to you?
Yeah, definitely that moment you described, because it reminded me almost of like Resident Evil. You're like, everything around me is dead. Everything is gone. What is going on? Yeah, just that moment was insane. As you said, I've never experienced something like that with Monster Hunter, where it's just all of a sudden the ecosystem is gone. Because we've always kind of had that living, breathing world, and just to have it vanish.
I'm gonna say that too, because I was streaming that moment actually, and I felt like almost confused, because I was like, is this where it's going later? I don't know. I mean, we're not going to speculate other games or whatever, but that tone is something that kind of was a bit overwhelming for me, because I'm not used to that at all. We're not used to that feeling, that eeriness. And I think that, that was well translated. I mean, huge props to the devs, like, doing that, because I think it also kind of, like, created a few more new wrinkles in my brain to think about, okay, what's the future going to hold in other titles, you know what I mean? So I'm always thinking, like, okay, they know how to do that very well. So, but of course, the themes, I love Gosharag. I think that is definitely my favorite from that game, and fighting that monster, I think it's just so much fun. So yeah.
So one of my favorite moments, I mean, maybe it's my Portuguese blood or something, but it's when we see the scene with the ship, and the captain is in there, and they're getting ready for the final assault, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, we're gonna fight on the ship. This is gonna be amazing. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But still, having the ship there, and that moment where I think he throws a rock or something, and the admiral is just standing there, doesn't even move. And then Luchika goes in real quick with the gun, shoots the rock out, but the Admiral doesn't even flinch because he's ready for war. We're going in. The friggin' the cannons, were they the Dragonator cannons or whatever it was, that then when you're fighting Guys of Gorm, you can actually call them in, and they just shoot this explosive Dragonator that starts detonating all over the place. Like, I love that moment. That moment was absolutely amazing. It's not my favorite fight. I still like the fight a lot. If I had to say a favorite fight, it's probably going to be Volstrax. Like, Volstrax in that game is really good. And especially some of the... What was that? There was one of the hazard quests or something at the end of Rise where the laser would just one-shot you. And there's even sometimes a moment where maybe you'll cart and then you're jumping back into that new map. And the second that you land, you're just like, I see. The laser to the face instantly.
The panic. I just remember panic all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I I really like Violet Mizutsune, which has a really like interesting like spirit bomb type move. So you're kind of just like staring up at that and trying to like add as much damage as you can. And if that thing hits you, it's all over. So that one in particular is a favorite for me. Another one, a memory I share with Kogath, is fighting Flaming Espinas.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. Which, yeah, we
want to hear this.
We were trapped in a room. Not trapped. We were in a room playing basically for an entire day. A TGS demo build. So the difficulty is tweaked, just to be like a little bit tougher. And the you don't have your set and everything, so you're not so comfy. But yeah, we basically hunted for an entire day. I think we carded like over, I don't know. What do you think, Kogath? Like 20 times?
Oh, more than that.
That's awesome. That's so cool that you guys shared that together.
That event, we had multiple TGS builds of various Capcom games around. We had Street Fighter. What else was there?
Yeah.
All that us was Monster Hunter and beating Flaming Espen.
Sounds about right. It's like gotta beat it.
Yeah, we did not move. We were hooked. We were locked in until we got it. Yeah, and we finally did get it. And then I went back and I told the team how many tries it took us, and they were very happy. So they loved hearing that it was really tough.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
On release of Flaming Espinas, there's a really fun story because I would always make these very defensive gunland sets so that I could be super comfortable when I was fighting. So the moment that I'm fighting Flaming Espinas, because, I had seen the trailer and all that, I'm sitting there with my big set, and he's coming in with his big nuke that even, starts posturing. The one that one-shots everybody, right? He's coming in with that big nuke. And I could easily Superman dive that, but I was like, nah. My exact words were, I can block this 100%.
Oh, you want to know? That's like...
That was super arrogant. Just I can block this 100%. And he just boom, dead. I was like, oh, okay. I guess not. Never mind.
That's why I try not to talk anymore, because I'm just oh, man. I always get... That's like a clip right there. But that's cool. I know the feeling. Oh, man.
Well, I think between all of us, there's been so many good memories with the series, whether we've been playing for the full 20 years or 10 years. So before we wrap up, let's go around the horn. Any closing comments on the 20th anniversary? Kogath, I'll start with you.
Well, as I keep saying, I've been here since the beginning, and it's just so weird to think, when I started playing, I was 18. Now I'm pushing 40. It's like I've grown with this series and been such a big part of it. Seen so many different people come through, so many new monsters, and every game just astounds me every time. And I'm really curious what the series will grow into. Just the leaps and bounds we've made going from the 3DS games to World, then Rise. It's like, what's next? I can't wait. And it's been so fun growing with all these different friends I've made along the way, and this community, and all the little jokes we have and can share with each other, and just know exactly what everybody is thinking with it. It's amazing. I love it.
Oh, man. Well, first of all, being able to be here with all of you and hearing your stories, I think it's probably the most exciting thing for me, because when I'm playing, a lot of times solo, right? These thoughts go through my mind. I'm like, oh, I wonder if anyone else understands how I feel about this title. And they do. Everyone does. And being a fan, first and foremost, for this series is probably the most rewarding thing of this whole bit right here for Monster Hunter's 20th anniversary. It's insane for me. I think that my friends, I still talk to all the time. Every time there's an announcement, we text each other. We write each other in Discord. We're immediately writing each other. Did you see? It's like 4 a.m. Did you see that? I went to the restroom, but did you see that? And we text each other, and we're awake somehow at the same time. And then we talk about it. And it's just this ongoing thing with our groups of friends, and even on Twitter, or just X or whatever they call it now. But, it's just, it's awesome, and I can't wait to see the next game. I know it's going to be insane. The team always thinks about the fans. They're always thinking about for the the next big thing. So I know it's probably going to be insane.
So one of the most special things for Monster Hunter for me is naturally the friendships that are made along the way, like everybody's been saying, because, it was through Monster Hunter that I became friends with Gaijin Hunter, the Eric's Gaming team, all amazing people, and even more content creators that I've created content with, just invited people to the podcast and whatnot. It's been absolutely fantastic. But another thing that I always notice when it comes to Monster Hunter games is that you can tell that the team working on this game is a team that is extremely passionate, because they pay attention to the smallest little details that probably 90% of people are not even going to look. Like, one of the things that I always like bringing up is in the canteen for Monster Hunter World base game, there's that Palico that's blowing into the fire with a tube, and he's just sitting there blowing into the fire. And if you're a part of an animation department, it's super easy to just make an animation, and the Palico is just sitting there going, and that's it. That's the animation, right? But for some reason, the Monster Hunter team doesn't do that. So they go and they make this Palico blow into the fire twice, then he looks around, looks at the fire, then he does it again, and then he looks around again. Different animations, like it's not the same looking around animation. And then he does it a third time, and the fire backdrafts onto his face, and he gets burned. And he goes there's this crazy animation detail that you don't need for any reason, but it's there, and it's the attention to detail that lets you know that, no, this team loves this game. The detail that they go through with the Palicos and every little thing that you see, every little interaction that you see throughout the world, that doesn't need to be as detailed as it is for the game to function. It doesn't really have the gameplay effect almost, but it increases the immersion and just showcases the sheer raw passion that this team has for the game. And it never ceases to impress me.
Yeah, well, with that, we're headed to the summer where there's going to be news for Monster Hunter Wilds, and we're also launching Monster Hunter Stories on new platforms. So obviously the future is super bright. We're super excited. And we want to say thanks to you guys for joining us. We were super happy to do this and to have you on and to talk all things Monster Hunter. We love all the passion for the series and the roles that you guys have played and spreading the good word about Monster Hunter. So thank you very much. And we really appreciate it.
Thank you for
having us. Oh my God, this is really awesome. Can't wait for the next game or announcements.
Yeah, it's been super fun, and as Joe said, summer, more news on Monster Hunter Wilds, and obviously, 2025 is getting closer with each passing day. But yeah, here is to the last 20 years of Monster Hunter, and here's to 20 more years. So happy hunting, everyone.
Happy hunting.
Happy hunting.